The bye week came at the perfect time, or at least that's what everyone inside the Steelers building seems to believe. Players, coaches, staff, you ask any of them and they'll tell you the break was exactly what they needed. But while the majority sees it as a blessing, there's a real argument to be made that this momentum pause might have done more harm than good. Because when you're finally hitting your stride, when everything's clicking for the first time in a long while, the last thing you want is to stop. The Steelers were riding a wave after that performance overseas. They didn't just win, they looked like a functional, motivated, and finally cohesive football team. And that hasn't been something you could say often this season. For 3 weeks, they looked like a team still trying to figure itself out, a team stuck in first gear. Even though they walked away with 2 wins early on, no one watching those games could seriously argue that Pittsburgh was playing good football. It was sloppy, inconsistent, and uninspired. But then came Dublin. Then came the win against Minnesota. Then came a performance that finally made fans believe this team might be turning a corner. And then, the schedule says stop. Time to cool off. Rest up. Take your break. That's why this upcoming matchup against the Browns carries way more weight than just another divisional game. It's a chance to prove that the Steelers didn't lose that fire. That what happened in Dublin wasn't a fluke. That this team is actually building something sustainable. Because you don't want that win to be remembered as the peak. You want it to be the launch pad. On the other side, you got a Browns team walking straight into a travel trap. Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how dangerous these post-Europe games can be when teams don't get by week. The Browns went to London, took a tough loss to the Vikings, the same Vikings the Steelers just beat, and instead of resting after the trip, they're jumping right back into AFC North action. That's a grind, no matter how deep your roster is. That's fatigue that catches up in the second half. That's what opens the door for a team like Pittsburgh to take advantage. Now, whether or not that actually happens depends on what version of the Steelers shows up this Sunday. Because let's be honest, this team has only played one genuinely impressive football game this season. One. That was in Dublin. That was the game where everything came together. The offense found rhythm. The defense played like a unit with purpose. The blocking made sense. The run game had bite. Everything they couldn't figure out in the first 3 weeks suddenly clicked. So now the question is, can they repeat it? The responsibility here falls heavily on the coaching staff. Mike Tomlin and company have had plenty of time to self-scout, to look at what worked overseas and ask themselves, why would we change anything? Because honestly, the formula isn't that complicated. Against the Vikings, the Steelers leaned into physicality. They protected their quarterback with extra bodies, used heavy formations, and made life easier for everyone involved by keeping things structured and simplified. The run game led the way. Jaylen Warren made the most of his touches, and the line held its ground better than it had all season. Now, if you're the Steelers and you start thinking you're suddenly too good to do all that again, that's how things unravel. That's how you go right back to being the team from September. Let's say, for example, they decide they don't need Darnell Washington on the field as often because they want to prove the line can stand on its own. Let's say they take away the extra help and let Broderick Jones go one-on-one with Myles Garrett for a full 4 quarters. That's not confidence. That's recklessness. This isn't the week to experiment. This isn't the game to get cute. Stick with what worked. There's no shame in doing something the Browns might see coming, as long as they can't stop it. And yes, that means more of the same from the running game. If Jaylen Warren gets going early and the blocking holds up, Pittsburgh has a real shot to control the tempo, not just of the game, but of the entire atmosphere. And that's what you need in a home game coming off a bye. Re-establishing momentum isn't just about execution. It's about emotion, about setting the tone, about letting everyone in the building feel that this isn't the same old Steelers team. But let's not stop there. If there's one area of this offense that could and should evolve from the Dublin win, it's in the passing game. That game didn't demand big downfield shots, but now, that's exactly what you want to start layering in. The Browns' defense, especially under Jim Schwartz, is built to pressure. They want to collapse the pocket, force mistakes, take away the short routes, and make you one-dimensional. The only way to counter that is to go over the top. Take some shots. Trust your quarterback. Let your receivers fight for plays down the field. That doesn't mean abandoning the game plan. It just means building on it. With the blocking holding up better, you don't need to live on quick screens and slants. You can stretch the field. You can challenge the safeties. And you can do it while still staying within the same offensive identity that worked in Dublin. Defensively, the message has to be even simpler. Don't let Cleveland's young guys breathe. Dylan Gabriel might be a promising rookie, but he's still a rookie. The Browns have been through more quarterbacks than most teams in the last 2 decades, and Gabriel is just the latest name on a long list. He's not the guy you let get comfortable. He's not the guy you give space. The Steelers need to turn up the heat early and often. Disguise coverages. Collapse the pocket. Force the issue. Make Gabriel win the game, because odds are he can't. And when it comes to the run game, there's a similar story. Quinton Judkins is another rookie who's shown real potential. He's been getting stronger each week and just put up over 100 yards in London. That's impressive, but it also makes him a clear target. The Steelers' defense has to shut that down immediately. Make Cleveland one-dimensional. Take away the thing that helps a young quarterback settle in. Force them into 3rd and longs and then go hunt. That's what Pittsburgh did so well against Minnesota. The defense didn't just show up. It dictated. It set the tone. It frustrated the opponent from the first snap and never let them off the hook. That's the identity this team needs to keep. That's how you win ugly in the AFC North. That's how you build the kind of confidence that actually carries from week to week. And this second part of the story, the one that dives deeper into what this team needs to become, it starts with accountability. Not just in the locker room, but on the field. Because momentum, as much as we love to talk about it, isn't a magic switch you can flip on and off. It's built in the trenches. It's earned through consistency. And if the Steelers are serious about staying in the mix this season, they need to start treating every game like a playoff preview. That means sharpening what worked in Dublin and addressing what didn't, especially in terms of versatility. Let's talk about usage, because that's where this coaching staff still has some work to do. Take the case of Jonas Smith. When you watch him in non-football settings, you could easily mistake him for a wide receiver. He's got the frame, the movement, the agility, and yet he's been left on the shelf for too many snaps. 16 in Dublin. That's all. And we're talking about a guy who has proven, not just in Pittsburgh, but in this league, that he can be a legitimate weapon. Someone who can create mismatches, rack up yards after the catch, and move the chains. A first down machine. With Calvin Austin sidelined and WR2 still very much a mystery, there's no excuse for Smith to be that underused. He can line up anywhere. He's done it before. He's even been used out of the backfield when needed. That kind of flexibility is what separates pretenders from real contenders. Because in today's NFL, predictability is death. You need weapons who can move around, disguise formations, stretch defenses in ways that go beyond pure speed or route trees. And here's the thing. This isn't about benching someone else to make room. It's about recognizing that your most effective lineups might not be traditional. If that means keeping Spencer Anderson out there as your 6th blocker on the right side and letting Darnell Washington function as a true inline tight end on the left, then do it. That worked. That's what helped build the wall that allowed the offense to flow in Dublin. The numbers might look unconventional. The snap counts might raise some eyebrows. But if the end result is a win, who cares? It's the same logic that needs to apply to Pat Freiermuth. Because right now, his role is becoming a question mark. You heard what Coach Tomlin said earlier in the week. When you're going up against a 4-3 front, you can't afford to have 250-pound tight ends trying to hold the edge against elite pass rushers. That's not disrespect. That's just honesty. And yet, when he listed the names he was referring to, Freiermuth and Connor Hayward, he noticeably left out Jonas Smith. That wasn't an accident. Smith might be a touch lighter, sure, but he also brings a different kind of presence. A more athletic one. A more dynamic one. And if you're looking for someone who can help this offense stretch the field while still giving you competent blocking, that's your guy. That's the adjustment that could shift the balance again, not just in this game, but as the season wears on. Meanwhile, the Browns aren't going to make this easy. Jim Schwartz isn't the kind of defensive coordinator who sits back and waits. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at Rodgers. Blitzes, disguised looks, hybrid fronts, anything to test the Steelers' communication up front and force quick decisions. which is exactly why getting John Moore involved matters. You want Schwartz to hesitate before sending pressure. You want him to have to respect every layer of the field, not just the underneath throws. Because if all you're offering are shallow crosses and swing passes, Cleveland will eat that up all day long. They'll load the box, sit on your short routes, and squeeze everything down until there's nowhere left to go. But if you start hitting them behind the linebackers, forcing safeties to drop deeper, that's when your ground game starts finding breathing room again. That's when Warren becomes even more dangerous. That's when the entire playbook opens up. It's a chess match, but only if you're willing to use all your pieces. Defensively, Pittsburgh has to keep playing with the same level of controlled aggression they showed against Minnesota. It's not about going full blitz on every down. It's about timing, pressure, and disruption. Dylan Gabriel, for all his talent, is still very much learning on the fly. He hasn't seen everything yet. He hasn't felt what it's like to have T.J. Watt or Alex Highsmith breathing down his neck with disguise coverage behind him. That's the type of experience that can overwhelm even the most composed rookies. And that's exactly what the Steelers need to do. Not just hit him, but confuse him. Change the looks. Show blitz and drop back. Drop in his zone and then crash the edges. Don't let him find rhythm. Because once a young quarterback gets comfortable, that's when mistakes stop happening. But if you can shake his timing early, make him second-guess what he's seeing, then that's when the turnovers start coming. That's when the game starts tilting your way. And don't underestimate what Judkins can bring to the table either. He's got real juice. He's not just a placeholder in that backfield. He's averaging nearly 5 yards a carry for a reason. He's patient, he finds creases, and he doesn't shy away from contact. But the Steelers' front has to treat him like a known threat, not a developing rookie. Stack the box if needed. Force Cleveland to beat you with their arm, not their legs. That's how you control the pace. That's how you put the Browns in unfamiliar territory. Because if Pittsburgh can do that, if they can take away the run and apply pressure without compromising their coverage, then everything else falls into place. You get short fields for your offense. You get more chances to dictate tempo. You get to control when and how the game opens up. And most importantly, you give yourself a margin for error, something this team hasn't really had all year. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL rumor mill, whispers are swirling that Javonte Williams, the so-called monster defender, is on the verge of joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sources close to the team hint that the front office is quietly orchestrating a deal that could see Williams stepping into a role many thought was securely locked down. Known for his relentless aggression and game-changing presence on the field, Williams has long been touted as a defensive powerhouse capable of transforming any lineup. The Steelers, historically renowned for their ironclad defense, may finally have found the missing piece to dominate the league once more. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing with speculation. Could this be the strategic shakeup Pittsburgh needs to reclaim defensive supremacy? Williams, who's been turning heads wherever he's played, brings not only size and strength, but an almost uncanny ability to read the offense before the snap. Observers claim his timing and instinct could make him an immediate starter, potentially taking over the position without missing a beat. Rumors suggest the team sees him not just as a short-term fix, but as the cornerstone of a new defensive identity that could define the Steelers for years to come. Insiders hint that behind closed doors, coaches are already envisioning how Williams might fit into complex schemes and high-pressure situations. While no official confirmation has been made, the murmurs are enough to ignite a frenzy among the fan base. Social media is alight with speculation, with supporters already dreaming of highlight reel tackles and game-winning plays. The Steelers' locker room could soon see a seismic shift, with Williams commanding attention and respect from day one. If these whispers hold true, Pittsburgh might just be on the cusp of a defensive renaissance, with Javonte Williams at the very heart of it. As always in the world of sports rumors, caution is advised. But one thing is clear: wherever Javonte Williams lands, the buzz is real, and the NFL will be watching closely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.